Folks, sometimes real estate doesn't work out the way you planned. I'm going to talk about that in the latest Home Prices and Insights for the City of Toronto for week ending May the 3rd, 2023. So about a year ago, with my buyer clients, we take them to see this house. It was a really nice house. Lots of updates in pristine condition. My clients liked it, so we put in an offer to buy it, and there was lots of negotiation going on back and forth. The sellers were pretty tight on their price of what they wanted. We were almost at the final stages of just one or two signatures left. Almost had to put together this deal. And the agent calls me, the listing agent, and says, the sellers no longer want to sell. They feel they've come down too far in price. They're probably just going to back off out of the market and maybe rent it for a year. I thought, wow, we spent a lot of time negotiating this, but it's the seller's prerogative, and so we didn't put that deal together. The property stayed on the market for maybe 3 weeks longer, and then it was relisted as a lease, got rented, and that's the end of that. Fast forward to today, about a year later, that agent phones me and says, Santo, we're getting ready to put that home back on the market, the one a year ago you tried to buy. Are your buyers still interested? I said, buddy, we found them another house. I mean, those buyers have been in their new house now for almost a year. So no, not those ones. But it just so happened that other buyers I'm working with, this house maybe could work out well for them. So I take them to see this house before it's listed on the MLS. So we're seeing this, take them there. Wow, it's a different house. It is totally destroyed. I barely recognized how it's just all messed up, this house. I'm thinking that the tenants just totally destroyed this house. What other explanation can there be? After the showing, I called the listing agent. I said, buddy, what happened to the house? It's not the same house we saw a year ago. And sure enough, he says, yeah, the tenants destroyed this house. I said, so what are you going to price it at? He says that if I was to give him an offer for in the ballpark of what we tried to buy it a year ago for, maybe they could put the deal together. And I said, wow, how do I know that if we do start negotiating, that your sellers the last minute are not going to pull out again? He says, oh no, Santo, they've had a year of hell. They are so tense and stressed from dealing with these tenants. They want nothing to do with this anymore. They don't even want to put a dime into getting the house ready for the market. They just want to sell. They don't want to give it away, but they definitely want to sell. So if we get into negotiation and we get a price that's agreed, sellers won't be backing out this time. Well, I'm sharing this story with you, this experience of mine, not to say sell, don't sell, the seller should have sold to us a year ago, rent your house out, don't rent your house out. I'm sharing this experience because I find that many times sellers and buyers will make decisions without fully appreciating or understanding all the possible scenarios. We tend to look at everything with rose-colored glasses. I'm going to wait for a year, the market will be higher, and then I'll sell and I'll make extra money. Well, that's great if it actually works out that way. Well, what if the market comes down? What are you going to do? And this is why I'm sharing this experience. There's other scenarios. How many people sold their homes a year ago when the market was high and have rented and thinking the market's going to come down, and then we're going to buy at rock bottom prices? Well, how's that working out for those people? Many of those people, now that the market has rallied up, they can't afford to buy back the house they sold. They're priced out of the market. So we make decisions, we plan for everything to work out the way we expect. but things can go the other way. And it's so important to know all the different scenarios. You know, we plan for the best, but prepare for the worst. You've got to have a handle on all the different parts, all the different moving parts of these transactions, and then you can make the best decisions for you and your family. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you feel you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video, in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that and book a time that's convenient for you. Let's get into the numbers. Folks, I know we're holding on by the skin of our teeth, but I got to keep the faith. I'm still sporting the Leaf jersey. Go Leafs, go. Home prices. Who can predict what's going to happen in the future? Be very, very careful about basing decisions for you and your family based on somebody's predictions, because it's impossible to predict home prices. I'm going to show you what's happening right now, and I guarantee you, most people out there don't even know what's happening right now. Let's get going here. This is for the City of Toronto, detached properties only. Now, normally I do week to week, and I'll get into that in a little while, but first I've got month over month. The last full month we have here is April 2023, and in black, in black down here, average prices, sales. In black, I have every month, every April, going back to April 2019. Really, you know, you look at this, so since January, sales have been going up month over month, which is what we would expect. Average sold prices, also since the beginning of the year, have been increasing basically month over month, which nobody expected that. Average sold price for the month of April is $1,788,000. If we compare back to the previous April a year ago, we're actually 8% lower than where the average sold price was a year ago. If we compare back to the peak was in February 2022, we're 14% lower than where we were when we were at the peak, 14% lower. Now, if we kind of look back, I've got here April 2020. March was that big announcement. Remember, everybody stay home, lock your doors, don't go out. That was March. So April, average sold price dropped like a rock. So I've kind of put an X, and this 1 month here is just no point in even looking at those numbers. But let's go back to April 2019. If we want to get the current price to reach 2019 numbers, I know a lot of people are waiting for prices to come down. Prices are going this way, but everybody's waiting for prices to come down the other way. Listen, we need to drop 24% from where we are now to get to April 2019 prices. Months of inventory. We're sitting at 1.4 months of inventory, and again, this is just for the City of Toronto and for detached properties only, sitting at 1.4 months of inventory. This is April last year. As months of inventory were climbing, prices were coming down. Then from August to January, months of inventory was kind of flat. Prices stayed kind of flat. And now this year, months of inventory is coming down. Prices are going up. That's normally the way, the relationship between months of inventory and prices. That's normally the way things work. Months of inventory really is the relationship between supply and demand. So let's get into our regular programming. So this is weekly numbers, average sold prices, detached, semis, towns, condos. Condo to detached, there's about $1 million in price difference. That's a huge gap. $1 million in price difference between the average condo price and the average detached price. Let's look at detached for the City of Toronto for week ending May the 3rd. 198 detached properties were sold. 55 of those were at $2 million or more. And when we look at average sold price for week ending May the 3rd, it's $1,816,000. Overall, since the middle of February, I put a straight line here. We've got a couple of weeks in here that just seem out of the ordinary, so let's forget about those. And really, you can see a straight line. Prices are increasing when we're looking at detached properties. Compared to last year, $1,816,000 is 9% lower than where we were a year ago at this time. Median price of $1,438 is also 9% lower than where we were a year ago. And both median and average price has been trending upwards. It's very clear. When we look at sales, 198, 72% were sold at list price or more. Can you imagine 72% when interest rates are so much higher, affordability is so much lower? 72% selling at list price or more. And when we look at the overall trend of prices selling over list price, it's been trending upwards since the beginning of the year actually, but this goes to February 1st, been trending up. We were sitting in the 40s, then in the high 50s, now 72%. 398 were listed, and months of inventory is sitting at 1.1 months of inventory. Here's all the city of Toronto, but broken down into 9 sections. Just a quick summary here. For the city of Toronto as a whole, 72% sold at list price or more. Months of inventory sitting at 1.1. So let's look at the pockets of Toronto that, as far as list price or more, are maybe higher than what the average. So Rexdale Downsview, 78% selling at list price or more. East York, Riverdale, Beaches, 72% selling at list price or more. Scarborough, 90% selling at list price or more. 90%. Months of inventory, 1.1. Well, Scarborough is less than that, 0.7 months of inventory. East York, 0.8 months of inventory. Etobicoke, 1 month of inventory. Man, they're different. It's like different worlds, and sometimes you might be selling in one area, buying in another area, and you might base your thoughts about selling on the experience you're having when you're trying to buy. Some of these areas really are behaving very differently. A 0.7 months of inventory, very different feel than a 1.7 months of inventory. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but you're going to experience different things out there. Here we have a quick summary of semis. 59 semi-detaches were sold. 19 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price has shot up to $1,480,000. $1,480,000 is 4% lower than where we were a year ago. The median price is 5% lower than where we were a year ago. And over the last couple months, both median and average prices for semis has been trending upwards quite aggressively actually. Months of inventory sitting at 0.7 for semi-detached. 76% of all semis sold at list price or more. Very competitive. Townhouses, we've got these big peaks and valleys when it comes to townhouses. Sales are normally not that high. These are freehold townhouses. So 23 freehold townhouses were sold. 4 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price came down to $1,181,000. 1181 is 9% lower than where we were a year ago. The median price is 16% lower. And generally speaking, median and average sold price for townhouses has been on the increase, has been trending upwards. 0.8 is the months of inventory for townhouses, and 65% of the townhouses sold at list price or more. Let's look at condos, and just like I did with detached, with condos I'm looking at the month over month, and then I'll get into the weekly numbers. So for week ending April 23rd, 1,453 condos were sold. Average sold price is $752. $752 is 8% lower than where we were a year ago, but we're 10% lower than peak pricing, which was March last year. And if we kind of go back again, April, let's forget about April. That was just a crazy month all around. If we want to see condos, if we're waiting for prices of condos to come down before we jump in to buy, well, if you're waiting for April 2019 prices, we need to come down 15% from where we are now to get to April 2019 prices. Months of inventory sitting at 1.9 for condos. That's a monthly average for the month of April. Let's look at our weekly numbers. For week ending May the 3rd, 339 condos were sold. 46 of those were at $1 million or more. That number is just getting higher and higher. It's been increasing. January we started with 4. On a weekly basis almost, we've been selling more and more of the luxury type of condos. Average sold price, $797,000. That's shooting up very aggressively. Compared to last year, 797 is 4% lower, only 4% lower than where we were a year ago. Median price of 695 is 5% lower. Now, median price and average price have been trending up in condos. Median, not as aggressive as average sold price has been trending up. 339 we said were sold. Half of those, 50%, sold at list price or more. Now, let's look at those percentages. We started at beginning of February, 20%, mid-20s were selling at list price or more. Then 40% selling at list price or more. We're now at 50% selling at list price or more. The condo market is becoming more and more competitive as time goes on. 690 were listed, and months of inventory, even though it went up by 1, it's sitting at, or by 0.1 it went up, it's sitting at 1.5 right now. Overall, it's been trending down, and as such, prices have been trending upwards. These are the months of inventory when we look at them as a group: detached, semis, towns, condos. I mean, 0.7, 0.8, 1.1, even 1.5 for condos. This is an extreme seller's market. These months of inventory this low, prices really only have one way to go right now. It's very competitive. There's multiple buyers looking at properties, and there's so few properties out there. Are we gonna see more listings to help offset some of this? I don't know. I mean, I wish I could tell you for sure what to do. Man, it's a really interesting market. It's very competitive. Who you hire matters. Make sure you're working with someone who's experienced and is able to navigate the craziness that we have in this GTA real estate market. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.